Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the 4 COVID studies the mainstream media refuses to report to you. By the way, big tech really doesn't want you to see this. Instagram censored me last week for reporting on science. Big tech censorship of conservatives is out of control. This is what happened. Instagram is censoring my video on COVID from last week. They are literally censoring science. This was not my opinion. This was pulled from a freaking scientific journal. Instagram's phony fact checkers claim that I said something that I did not about a New York Times report. I never said anything about a New York Times report. I reported on a study that said 97% of PCR positives, when run at 35 amplification cycles, are non-clinical because the virus is dead. And when I posted on my Instagram stories about this, they censored my story about their censorship too. So please, stick it to Instagram and Facebook, who owns them, for censoring actual science, and watch my video and share it. Do not let the tech tyrants control whether you see the truth. And now, the 4 facts about COVID-19 this week that the mainstream media doesn't want you to see. First up, a new meta-analysis of 54 studies finds the chances of transmitting COVID-19 if you are asymptomatic is 25 times less than if you are symptomatic. This analysis of 77,758 people was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association and found that the chances of a person who has COVID-19 infecting somebody else in their own household is 18%, if the index case is symptomatic. If the index case is asymptomatic, then that chance of transmission drops to just 0.7%. Likewise, a new study shows how unlikely you are to catch coronavirus at the gym. Researchers at Sheffield Hallam University analyzed 62 million gym visits in 14 different European countries since September and found that just 487 COVID-19 cases were reported by the gym operators. If you do the math, that's just 0.78 cases per 100,000 visits. Another new study says used masks could be worse than no mask. This study, conducted by the University of Massachusetts Lowell and California Baptist University, found that a 3-layer surgical mask is 65% efficient in filtering particles in the air. Keep in mind, this was entirely conducted in a lab, so it doesn't account for human error in using masks. If the mask is used, the efficiency rate in filtering air particles falls to 25%. This is what the author of the study says, and I quote, "It's natural to think that wearing a mask, no matter new or old, should always be better than nothing. Our results show that this belief is only true for particles larger than 5 micrometers, but not for fine particles smaller than 2.5 micrometers, end quote. He and his team projected, using a computer model, that using used masks makes the user more vulnerable to inhaling aerosols, which can contain virus. According to new contact tracing data from New York State, 74% of COVID infections between September and November were spread in private residences. New York's own contact tracing data then showed that restaurants and bars were responsible for just 1.4% of COVID infections. 1.4%! And yet Cuomo closes indoor dining. Since the public health officials and politicians and the mainstream media refuse to report any of this to you, I will.